Alright, you guys watching now? Alright. Well, sorry about that, guys. I was, for about 10 minutes there, it was telling me that I was live, but clearly I wasn't. So I had to resolve some redundant stream links that I had for some reason, and it seems like it's working now. So again, this is still a learning process. When I did the live streams last year from my phone, it was much more straightforward, because I could just hit go live on my phone, but now I have to link this to my GoPro so that we can do some cab ride operations, which honestly is more interesting, I'd imagine, for some viewers, and it's also just easier for me. So knowing that, I would assume you guys didn't hear anything I said up to that point. So again, we're picking up where we left off yesterday, and what we did yesterday was a manifest had arrived into the yard. The switch crew, which we're aboard right now, broke down that manifest, sorted the pertinent cars into the bowl tracks here, and then there were already cars on track 6. This is the last track out here that needed to go to Columbia Falls. We did some switching at the Industries, and we came back, dropped those cars off just now, and now what we need to do is build the next outgoing manifest, and then we're gonna ride around with that today. So I'm still following the switch list I was using. So now I have to pick up the cars from our bowl tracks here, slap them onto the arrival departure tracks, and build our train. That wasn't gonna make it. Sorry, hand of God there. Alright, so it looks like we're pulling 4 cars from track 5. We're gonna need this first grain car, we're gonna need the second grain car, got our beer box car and our tank car. So just to be clear, actually no, we don't even want the first grain car. We want the last 2. 10 and 253. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to pull these first 2 out then. I'm going to try to do some fairly regular streams now. Again, I apologize to everyone for the slow start at the beginning of this one. There was such a delay between when the GoPro initialized and between when YouTube recognized it that I thought we were live and I could see the video feed on my end, but you guys weren't able to see it. So now I know that I have to hit go live on the YouTube page as well, not just on the GoPro. So I am learning, which is good. I really gotta offset this GoPro. 10, 253, ADMX, 839. Weird. All right. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move our road power that we'll be using out of the way so we can get a bit more room for switching. Send this to the engine facility just briefly. I am using a GoPro Hero 7 Black. Oh, here's our pen from last time. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so now I gotta think about what else I'm grabbing here. Hey guys, sorry, I'm trying to stay on top of the stream. I see John has joined us. So yes, now we will get a different, a slightly different view. Oh my goodness, I'm really struggling here. You can see, not an ideal uncoupling tool, but I'll be getting some wooden skewers here soon. I actually picked up some things for operations today. Got a few waste pouches and got the screws to install my fascia panels. And then I thought about getting some wood skewers, but the only ones I could find at Home Depot were for like a Weber grill, and they were a little too nice. I feel like I would have been made fun of if we had a Weber grill branded uncoupling tool. Yeah, give me just a second. I just gotta grab a charger for my computer. Oh. This happens every time. I always need to charge something. Alright, that was faster than usual though. Okay, let's keep rolling. Alright, looks like we can tack on about 4 or so cars. So someone asked if I had YouTube or the layout first. I actually had YouTube first. If you go way back to some of my early videos, you can see a a much less involved version of this layout. It was 2 tabletop, like 4x8 pieces. So we kind of made a huge jump to this layout. So as I explained yesterday, the way operations work, at least for right now, is we have sort of a few different pools of cars. We have those cars that are switched on the layout, as in they go to industries, and those are in sort of a continuous cycle. You know, they get delivered to the industries, they travel around the layout, they are simulated to return empty or loaded, whichever the opposite is of how they get delivered to the industry. They make it back to the yard and then they get re-delivered to industries later on. And it's not every time, there's sort of a schedule, so not every industry gets the same number of deliveries every time. But then there's another set of cars which are just sort of through traffic, so they don't have a specific destination off layout or on layout, which means that we use those to just fill out the rest of the manifest. We're kind of pretending that there are 2 main manifests that leave from this yard. One goes to Lincoln and one goes to Kansas City. Those are generally in the same direction, so the floater cars are just sort of representing cars that need to move in that direction, and it's not logistically important whether it's one or the other, and then they get moved on other manifests or transfer runs off layout. So what we're doing right now is I need to park some of these cars here. The ones that we're coupled to right now are industry cars. So those, like this beer car here, gets switched at the brewery. These tank cars go over to Columbia Falls as well. Good Lord, what in the world? And I also don't have standardized couplers, so that's part of the issue too. And then the cars off to the left there. So that grain car, there's a well car, and then there's a UP open top hopper. Those 3 do not get switched on the layout. So we're going to tack those onto the manifest just to achieve a certain length of train. Yeah, actually John from the UP Cascade sub is the only other person that's actually run the official yard job here. So he knows that you have to calculate horsepower per ton ratios and train length as well. I'm not going to be that involved tonight because it'd be tough for me to show that to you. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball train length here. And I'm just going to pretend that we have enough power to get up over the hill. Oh my goodness. There were 3 cars here, not a single one of them was coupled to each other somehow. yeah, once I get the train all put together, I will, I'll show the whole consist to you. I'm just going to do the switching first here. And yeah, this isn't actually a new car. I think I got it like late last year, maybe back in January or something. I think this was a Lombard purchase. Yeah, Atlas car. Pretty nice. I like it. I think it'll be a fun one to weather because it's all white. It's sort of a off-white, more of a gray actually. But alright, so we got some pretty light cars here, these three. So I'm going to put these mid-consist instead of at the head of the train. Which means I got to park these on track 3. And then we got to pull basically half our train from track 2 there. So we've got to recouple off. Look at that. Look how easily that uncoupled. Because I replaced those Atlas couplers on those finally. Actually, new plan. Here's what we're gonna do. This is just to save some time. We've actually got, for the most part, 2 sections of a train here. It's mostly what already ran into the yard last round when we got the last manifest. So I'm actually gonna go couple back up to that. We'll pull this forward in the queue. And then I'm going to run around to the other end of the yard and then pull these lighter cars to the end. Part of the reason is there's some cars on the other end of the yard too that I actually want to add to this train. But they're hard to get to right now because I got a whole cut of industry cars in front of them here on the east end of the yard. And things are a little out of sync because, as I mentioned yesterday, switching typically is done down on the west end, which is the opposite end that we're on. And the reason is that it actually has a longer yard lead down there, and the 2 yard ladders are closer together, which makes it better for switching, less time consuming. But you also have to head through a doorway, which when you're running trains from outside, it's no problem, but I figured for video purposes it's probably more interesting to stay in the nicely lit, good part of the layout room. Alright, park that guy there. Yeah, so I see Carl's got a question on the camera setup, so if anyone's curious, this is what we're doing. I got a depressed center flat car. It's old, beat up, kind of ugly. And I have a GoPro, which obviously you can't see in my hand, but it fits right on this end. I just plop it up there. And the live stream, I think, needs to be... I have to set it up through my iPhone. So this would not work. This setup at least would not work with a larger iPhone. I have an iPhone SE, so it's pretty small. So I just set it on the flat car so that the Bluetooth connection stays strong between camera and phone. The phone does not have to be on the flat car. I just found that it worked more reliably if I do. So that's what we're working with right now. Let's see. Actually, gonna push these guys out of the way, and we are going to run down to the other end of the yard now. Yeah, and we've got a BN SD40-2 that we're running.
Night mode active.
I'll show that here in just a second. Oh! So here we are, locomotive-wise. And then this is going to be our road power here. Got a city rail trailing, and then my recently weathered ET44 C4, which is also for sale. If you watch my last layout update, you can purchase that. Huh. I don't know what's going on. Can't get my brake fluid. Okay. Oh, that's why. I'm dumb. Hold on.
Sound mode active.
I thought I lost connection there, but I couldn't. These TCS decoders, the one thing I don't like is they have to toggle back and forth between sound and light functions, and sometimes I forget to switch back over to the sound functions, which is how I use the brake and all that, so now we're good. Oh boy. Just needed to move that for a second. Alright. Yes, it is. Oh yeah. Yeah, Carl asked why I took the staging room door off. Since most of the switching happens down on the end of the yard that we're heading to right now, the little like triangle area in the staging room actually is a pretty nice little yard desk. And the door is hinged out towards the layout, so if you want to like do some paperwork on the yard, or sort of like the yard office table there, you have to open the door, but then you're blocking your view of the yard ladder. So you kind of have to do either or. So I took the door off so that whoever's operating can kind of multitask and both fill out paperwork on the desk as well as work on this end of the yard ladder. Because previously the only way to use this yard ladder is if the door was closed. But it's not uncommon for people to need to use the staging room back here, so it kind of became a traffic issue. Alright, so this is our last little shove here, and then we'll couple this up to our manifest. I'll probably move the camera car. Actually, I actually know what I'm going to do here. All right. So here's our consist, if you're curious, on track number 2. Oh boy. I'm dragging everything with the phone. It's always good. Okay. I checked the battery here. Looks like we still got about half. So, their power's over here. So I'm gonna fire these guys up and back them to our train. Okay. Okay, 13, 21. Oh, what the heck? 3, 6, 4. Someone asked how much money I spend on rail cars. I have no idea. Over the past year and a half, I think I've spent like a couple thousand, but I've also sold a couple thousand, so all in all, not really anything over the past few years. But it helps to sell stuff. Okay. Yeah, that actually could add some traction. Someone asked if I like the Walther's mainline sound. Not really. I got it with sound because it was pretty much as cheap as to get the DCC ready version and add a mobile decoder. The Essential Sound Unit is good in the sense that it still has a drive control, or whatever it's called. I forget already. Function 9, whatever that's called. And it's still loc sound, but the quality is like slightly lower. I was informed that it's sort of a slower bit, or a lower bit rate for sound. and it's also the speaker's not very good. So eventually I plan on replacing that, but the unit you're sitting on right now is actually Intermountain. So I didn't think about this, but what if we just ride on top of one of the locomotives? And I think what I'll do as well, you can't see this, but I'm gonna add, no, I will not. Okay, we'll see how this goes. Probably very terribly, but what I was gonna do is run a camera car in front of the train with that ST40, but let's just see how this does, and if it's awful, we'll try something different on the way down. Yeah, I figured this might be just as good as the flat car, because I was going to have to take the camera off for the tight parts anyway. At least this way I don't have to fiddle with the flat car. He's looking back at our train. So we're rolling up to Columbia Falls now. It's actually a fairly heavy train, not super long, but I got some heavy cars. You'll see I have some Atlas auto racks. I think we're still good on the battery, but just so everyone knows, if the battery dies on this thing, that's it for the stream. So I think we'll get enough to get up to the top of the grade at Belmont. No guarantees after that. I also have to do some switching at Crawford, so I think we'll get all that done at least. I had to ship some things today, so it's kind of messy over here. Alright, so we're coming to the crossover here at Crawford. We're going to park our train now on the siding. We do have a couple of cars to swap at that Crawford elevator, so I'm going to do that and then we'll head up the grade. And someone asked earlier what this door is off to the left. That is just, that's a sump pump back there. And the lower level section right here is actually removable for access to that. Oh, train just stopped there. Alright, so we're dropping off 410, I think. Or what was that, 485, 010. Okay. Battery's still okay-ish. catch up on some comments here. To answer the question about derailments, I apologize. I ignored. Alright, you guys can't hear me if I talk to a computer. I was going to say derailments aren't too much of an issue. Some of the radius curves are pretty tight, so if you have a train that's too long, you could tip a car over. But we make trains and add power accordingly. Alright, I think we're back. That was really dumb. Let's see though. Are we good? Alright, I think we're rolling. So we've got our cars from the elevator hooked up. I'm gonna go grab my throttle now. Okay. Well, sorry about that, everyone. That was dumb. Live streams are kind of tricky, though. If it happens again, though, we'll just call it. I'm trying to switch as fast as possible now. Someone asked what the backdrop is. I think the color is called Ocean Breeze. I think it's a Glidden paint color. Man. Alright. So there's our drop off. We just plopped this car right here. Damn it. Oh, I thought we disconnected there for a second. So that's our one set out, and now we couple back up to our train. Someone asked when I started working on the layout. I think it was the winter of 2015? No? Maybe, no, like December 2014. So yeah, like since, we'll just say since 2015 I've been working on the layout, I think. Alright, now we're ready to go off the hill. Actually, I'll keep us looking back a bit, and then we'll switch to forward. Chad asked what the camera mount is. I am literally just setting the GoPro on top of the radiator or the intercooler section of an ES44 AC right now. So we'll see where that goes. Obviously, we're not going through tunnels or anything. Someone asked what throttle I'm using. I actually just set up a Digitrax system, so I've got a DT402D radio throttle. We're getting pretty thin on battery here, so we'll make it to the Belmont, and then we'll loop it back through, and then I'm going to call it quits after that. I really just want to test how long the battery can go, and that way I can set sort of a standard stream length. jumpy, it seems like. Someone asked about issues with rails, expanding, contracting. There are only like 1 or 2 spots where I've had issues with that, and I think it was less an issue of expansion and contraction and more I just installed the track poorly. So that was like some of my first rail that I laid, and since then it's been fine. So no, not too many issues. I don't solder every joint though, so that helps. Alright, so I'm going to bring this guy to the stop at the top of the grade, and then we'll call it quits. So if you guys have any last minute questions, go ahead and ask those now. And in case you're unaware, the train just went up the upper reverse loop, and when it came out of that tunnel, now it's facing the opposite direction. So this is the way we just came up the grade. During operations, our train would stop here. There's enough room on this reverse loop to hold 2 trains, so a trailing train could enter the reverse loop as well, and it effectively acts like 2 staging tracks. And now we have 2 trains queued up and ready to head down the grade. So this is a crew change position, meaning that operators only run trains up the grade or down the grade. They don't go both directions with the same train, if that makes sense. Industries, I'll walk around and show that real quick. So just in case anyone missed it, that's the last of the running we're going to do because I'm very, very low on battery. But I'll walk around and show you industry. Oh boy, industries. So the first one is up here. This is West Plains Grain at Crawford. So remember, we just switched that, swapped out a grain car. Well, we parked this one and pulled 2 out of the spur track. And then the only other industries are over on the other side of the peninsula. If you look at the live stream from yesterday, you will have seen that we switched the industries over here at Columbia Falls. So there's a brewery This is Great Northern Brewery over here at Columbia Falls on the lower level. And then we've got a warehouse back there in the back. And then there's another track right here that is our transload facility. So this is still obviously very much in progress. None of the buildings are complete, and in fact this industry right here is sort of I don't know, still up for grabs, I guess. It could be a little loading area, but for now we've got little stands and loading racks there for cars. So that's all there is, but it's enough traffic to keep the yard working. It's not like we have that much main line on the layout. It's about 200 feet, which is pretty solid, but I think our proportion of main line to industry / yard switching is pretty good, because I wanted to have enough main line run that it was fun to run trains from point to point. But I just wanted to sorry, I sort of trailed off. I got distracted by some comments. I was saying I wanted to have enough mainline run to make it fun, because really what interests me are the big road freights, but I wanted to balance it just a little bit with some yard switching and some industries as well. And I think it's really easy to overdo the amount of industries and yard tracks, so I wanted to have a good balance there, and I think we mostly achieved that. So and let's see, Northwest Rail fan asking about car cards. I came up with a system I thought was going to use car cards, and what I've done instead is I've just developed a switch list system. Let's walk back here, I'll show that to you. So eventually I'll do this with JMRI once we get everything synced up with, well, no, let's grab the ones I just finished. I think that's 3. It's 3. All right. So you'll see we have switch lists. The one on the left here, this is our yard switch list. So this says for a particular session, or like when this train arrives, when that westbound train arrives, that's when this switch list is active, and you'll see the first thing to arrive in blue there is that westbound train. It says where those cars should be parked at and where to set them out to. And then this is the outgoing manifest for this switch list. And this also shows what will be arriving then on the local train, which is what we ran yesterday on that live stream. And then this switch list here, you see it's color coded. This is the switch list for that local, and it says where those cars go at the industries and what you do with the cars that are already there. And then for the manifest that leaves, this is the switch list we just used at Crawford to switch those grain. And you'll see that is color coded to the manifest that leaves the yard during this session. So I kind of forgot to put some of the details on these switch lists when I had my operating session. But I think it worked out pretty well. So eventually JMR will do this. It'll automate doing this, but I wanted something a little more scripted for the first go, so that we didn't have any issues with making sure that JMRI knows where all the cars are. Because if you're going to print switch lists on the fly, it's sort of contingent on knowing where cars are. This is nice to just already have some pre-printed, and assuming that everyone operates and puts the cars where they're supposed to be, these should be true in that case. So a couple different approaches, but this will do. Yeah, and there's also a master switch list. So this is the yard crew switch list. This is for the industry pool cars, meaning the ones that get switched on the layout. And then there's a separate like master sheet where it lists all the cars that'll possibly be in the yard. And those extra cars are what you use to fill out the manifest. And there's other paperwork involved. The yard crew has to create a literal manifest, like the sheet of paper that says every car that's in this consist, the length of the train, the tonnage, and then the horsepower to ton ratio, using the horsepower from the locomotives that they allocate to the train, divided over the tonnage of the train. So I don't have that sheet to show you right here. I think it's behind me, buried in some paper. But anyway, that's what we've got going on. So let's see, any more questions? Overdoing. Yeah, and that's true. Like obviously everything in this hobby is subjective. So I wasn't saying that like some layouts are right and others are wrong. I'm just saying, like, to my taste, I think I like the balance of the mainline running to industry and switching, or yard switching, just based on the goals that I set for myself building this layout. So my point was more that, like, whatever those goals are, I think sometimes it's easy, even if you want a lot of switching or if you want a little bit of switching, you put those goals on paper and you have an idea of what the layout should be. I think it's still easy to fall into the trap of, oh, I should put another track here. So I think I like what we have going. Okay, so I don't see any more questions. So I'll try to do one of these again soon. And again, I'll scheduled time when it'll premiere, and now I actually know how to start it successfully, so we'll start right on time next time, whenever that. Look out for live stream listing to pop up, and be sure to set that reminder, and if you haven't already and you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more live streams or updates. So I think that's going to be it. So yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Sorry if I didn't get to all of your questions and comments. This video will, I don't know if it'll preserve the chat replay. I don't know if I have that setting on. So if I missed a question and you're really itching to have it answered, this video will upload in a few hours, and just drop your question there and I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. I think it's kind of fun to do the cab ride operations. So perhaps the next stream we'll pick back up and do everything from the other direction, with the train going down the grade and switching in the yard, and maybe we'll run a coal train perhaps and use manned helpers as well, which would be pretty fun. So alright, bye guys, thanks so much for watching. Until next time.